So we're very fortunate to have Natasha Davis return with us. She gave us some ideas and insights about why email works and how to make it work better for us. Natasha, could you take a couple minutes, refresh us with some key takeaways from your last talk, and then we'll spend some time talking about what we got out of it and how we're doing moving forward.
Awesome, great. And I love the quotes to Bob Marley. As a Jamaican, that just sings to me. And one of his statements is, you never know how strong you have to be until you have to be. So
I love it.
Love that. So thank you so much for having me back. So yes, a few weeks ago, we talked about email marketing, and one of the things we talked about was email marketing is what? It's really a strategy. It's not a remember to do it when my brain kicks in. It's not a thing that you do when you want to sell. It's not something that you do when you feel like you're not getting enough calls. It's actually a strategy that's implemented in the business, right? The other thing we talked about was using lead generation to ramp up the business, not waiting until the business needs a customer or needs a sale, but actually using lead generation as a consistent tool and keeping the pipeline full by way of email marketing and using that strategy. We talked about the ABC strategy, right? You can attract it, you can buy it, or you can collaborate for it. So we use the ABC method for our lead gen. The other thing we covered was what? The system must-haves with an email marketing. There's so many tools out here, right? A lot of tools. Some are free. Well, let me back up. Maybe 2 are free, and then the others are a little less expensive. And then you have these really massive, robust tools that cost a lot. But the key thing is to narrow it down to some of the things that you must have, such as what? The ability for sequencing, the ability for automation, the ability for the if this then that feature. And then we covered the KPIs, the things that you have to track when you are doing email marketing. But the email marketing is really not a set it and forget it type situation. We really want to look at what the unique open rate is and what the click-through rate is. We also want to understand what the list growth rate is. If we have a list that's not moving and they're not opening emails, there's no engagement, we have a dead list. So really paying attention to your list. And if you have a campaign that's out, what are some of the campaign goals that were already preset? How do we evaluate that, making sure that the email campaign that's set out is doing what you intended it to do? I love the question we came up with. For every $1 you're spending with email marketing, you're right, the average is anywhere from $35 to up to $45 you're making back, and also depends on what you're selling. However, if we have consistency and we have accuracy, also segmenting, that dollar amount can make a huge, huge difference. I remember myself doing an email campaign. We were running a mastermind class we were doing. We did it purely through email marketing to our internal database. We used sequencing. We did all of that. And we actually brought in that one mastermind, we brought in over $35,000 of sales. That was all through email marketing. It was not done through, it wasn't done through like Google ads and Facebook ads. We did it all through email marketing, and we spent time making sure that we had a clean list. So those are some of the takeaways and the things that we covered,
So thank you, Natasha, for such a succinct summary. It's a strategy, use it for lead gen, the ABCs of selecting what to do, email must-haves. As far as technology, there's free stuff, there's paid stuff, and there's the more expensive paid stuff, and then growing your list.
Yes.
Anybody on this call come up with any of those takeaway from Natasha's talk before, and said this is something you want to do? Whether you did it or not is not necessarily important, but who connected with any of those pieces? Go ahead, Donna.
Yeah, I think this is great. I love the way you laid it out, Natasha, and you hit really all the important points, because it's the plan, and then it's looking at the KPIs to tweak the plan for the next iteration, whatever that might be, right? What I've learned is I've been using the 80-20 forever, and 20% of my efforts is with collaboration. And that really does deliver from what I've tracked as a solo entrepreneur, 80% of my results. What I loved about what Natasha talked about is I need to be a little bit more consistent with the online part, because I'm fantastic with the offline part, the relationship building, relationship capital, referrals, and all of that. So I really appreciate your points, Natasha, because I need to step up the online part.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for that. And that's important, right, Donna? I think that we, in our sector, we said, I want to do relationship building, when relationship building is absolutely a requirement to survive in this world of business, right? But then we have other types of marketing. So we got relationship marketing, we have email marketing, we have social media marketing, we have digital marketing. And so as you're looking at making some different adjustments within the business, incorporating those other tools along with your relationship marketing is always a plus. I built my business on relationship marketing.
So
Yeah.
Donna, I've talked a bit, and I think there's a good trusted relationship. So in an effort to be vulnerable, what is your action item from what you've heard Natasha talk about? What are you going to do?
Well, I've been evaluating Active Campaign. I use a tool that's not as robust. And if everyone's sitting down, it really is a tool called Less Annoying CRM. And it's a real tool that I've been using for years. It's fantastic. I'm able to tag folks. And then when I do my outreach, it's targeted marketing. So it's a combination of online and offline. So I'm not totally in the dark in the online world, but I really want to step it up. So I'm probably going to hire someone to help me set up sequences and targeted marketing. That is my action item.
Perfect.
So how about if you write that in the chat, write your action item in the chat, and give yourself a date to do something about, whatever that is. Again, this is not about us judging each other's actions and dates, but it's a matter of identifying something and working towards it. Somebody else want to bring up an email related objective or task that they want to do?
I had a question for Natasha. During the last session, you gave the levels. I don't know if we still have that slide, or, if you're starting off where it's something that's less robust, you gave a couple of names, and then as you progress up,
yes,
I'd like to revisit that, and before I put in my action item.
Yeah. So for example, for beginners, benchmark email. Benchmark email is the beginning stages. Here it is, benchmark email. Benchmark email is literally, if you're just starting out and you probably have a very modest list, you're learning how to get into the habit of doing consistent emails and, just really getting your hand wrapped around it. A very cost-friendly, it's literally free. That's how cost-friendly it is until you surpass certain thresholds they have. But it is a great starting place. You can go to benchmark email. That's for beginners. Now, when you realize I want to move up a level, of course, you have tools like Constant Contact. Here's the only challenge with Constant Contact. You got Constant Contact. It's a great tool. However, Constant Contact has not crossed over to the automation sequencing world yet. They're trying, they're doing it. I think they need to keep up.
How about MailChimp? Are they doing that?
I do not advocate MailChimp. And that's just me personally. None of these companies pay me. I do not advocate MailChimp. I think it is one of the most unprofessional tools to use for professional business. That's my preference. Some people love it. I don't like it. MailChimp is very quirky. It also looks very mediocre. It looks like you're a very dry.
That's what I was, so our marketing company wants to move us over from iContact to MailChimp.
I don't know why. I could not imagine why they would want to move you to something like that unless MailChimp has done a lot of technology upgrades and they've made themselves look a lot better. MailChimp used to be the go-to for persons beginning. However, they didn't spend enough time making sure that the interfacing was clean and professional. It looked like a weird situation, right? I don't like MailChimp. personally, but if somebody loves it, then, have at it. I don't advocate MailChimp at all. If you're going to use a tool, I like tools that allows you to learn how to really get your hands wrapped around things, and then you can advance. And so thanks, Hal. Purchase SharpSpring and has automation. Now, did they fully do the complete purchase? Because that was a conversation, almost like a 3-year conversation.
I'm going with, I don't know.
Got you.
I
If
just,
they did,
what's that?
if they did complete everything, then that would be great, because Constant Contact, I actually was on Constant Contact for many, many years. And then when I realized you guys don't do automation, you don't do sequencing, I was like, oh, I got to get out of here because this is what I need. And so definitely if they have done that, then that's a great place to go. So after you have your benchmark, you can go to like a Constant Contact or an iContact, as Yuli had mentioned. You can go to something like Infusionsoft by Keep. You can do Entreport. When you get into places like ActiveCampaign and Klaviyo, you're gonna, if you're not familiar with CRM tools, you're gonna need help, because a tool like ActiveCampaign usually works with another tool like Lead Pages.
So let's jump back, because Sabine had a good question. Sabine, can you come up with an action item that, because you were asking for some information, that maybe in the next week or 2 or 3 that you're going to be able to do something? It could be just that you make a decision as opposed to implement.
Yeah, so for me, I'm gonna take a look at the benchmark email that Natasha suggested. Hopefully I can figure it out myself, because what I'm gathering for what you're saying is, okay, the benchmark email, one should be able to utilize it, or learn by yourself. But once you get to active campaigning, you need professional help.
You do. It has a lot of things. Infusionsoft, it's a little learning curve, but once you understand the basics of what you're doing, you can figure out like an Infusionsoft for Entreport. I don't advocate other big boys like Salesforce and HubSpot, because they're big, massive tools and they can be extremely cost prohibitive for a small business.
So I'm going to look, so my action item is I'm going to look into benchmark and figure out if I can learn how to use it, because my goal would be to start with like a once a month and then sort of, go up, but that's the only thing I can commit to right now.
Good.
That'll work.
Remember on the slide, it says be vulnerable. So all you need to do, Sabine, is pick a date, like the way you saw that Donna did it, where she said, here's what I'm going to do by the date. If you miss the date, nobody here is going to get upset with you. It's just, we all have a target.
Okay. All right, I'll put that down.
Lee or Jared, you want to come up with something?
Trying to think of something. I mentioned to you guys that I'm starting this kind of heading up this new business, small business department here, and I'm trying to think of something to stay in contact with these small businesses, but I haven't been able to wrap my brain around how that works yet.
So Jared, you and I have an opportunity to work together in a couple of ways. And if you're game for doing like we did the letter writing campaign, if it helps, I mean, I'm using Constant Contact and I've got a MailChimp account just so I can prove that Natasha's right. But so Jared, if you want to come up with an idea about a campaign or a drip campaign, like we were talking about the construction people, if that helps move it along without being too much, I'm game for that, because the next few months is when I want to see people asking for, appointments or getting into their cycle of reviews.
We can talk about that offline. We've got, it sounds like we're going to get together in a couple of weeks. So I'd be interested in looking over that.
Okay, just get something written down. So, we've got that as we go there. Lee, it looks like you came up with.
Klaviyo. That's actually something that I was looking at climbing into with my other business, because Klaviyo integrates with Shopify, an e-commerce platform that I currently use. So this was the nudge to get me into Klaviyo.
That'll be a good one, especially if you're doing that type of field with a Shopify. Klaviyo would be your better connector. That is the gold standard in the industry currently for that type of business. So that would actually work. So Klaviyo is your best one right there.
Great.
So again, giving Donna credit for putting a date in there. Lee, what's your date to get familiar with it?
End of the month. So I guess that would be, yeah, 30th, 31st.
Could be
30th
June.
June.
30th June. There we go.
I always like people to come up with June 31st, June 32nd. Yeah.
Yeah, the 32nd.
February 30th.
Oh, you've done that, huh? Uli, what's your thoughts? I think you wrote down a good CTR, close
Click-through rate.
click-through
So
rate.
True, right, yeah.
if
So,
you can give me clarity, Yuli, because I'm not understanding what you're saying. You have a response rate of 47%.
yeah, so this is the stats that I get weekly, and apparently we have an open rate of 47% and a response rate as in people writing back and saying, yes, interested, maybe later, not interested.
Okay, that's what I was wondering. So your open rate, which is a little bit different. So your open rate, remember, is going to be the thing that tells you, hey, your subject line was interesting.
Mhm.
I liked your subject line. When you have a click-through rate, your click-through rate is going to be, I put a call to action in the correspondence and they click through and follow through with what I asked them to do. So if you're getting a 2.41% click-through rate, you're not bad. You might want more, but it depends on what you're offering. So you have a great subject line. So your subject line is good. So don't try to fix that because it's not broken. Your goal now is to get into the meat of the conversation and guide people to say yes to the dress. If they click and they don't find, say they click all the way through and they don't find what they're looking for, that means now you have an engagement issue because they are just they're looking, they're not really following through. I don't know specifically how or what you're selling, but you want to get into the meat of the conversation because you want to guide them all the way through the process that you're taking them to. I got you to open it, but something in there, I lost you somewhere along the line. 2 point, if you should be clearing at least 5 to 7%. You could be hitting double digits. It's just a matter of cleaning the conversation. And a lot of people get shy when it comes time to do a call to action. Always remember, be very clear. People need to be told what you expect from them because, again, as you saw, 300 million odd emails are coming out a day. Even emails you didn't even ask for. You're getting them. So, you want to really grab their attention and go from there.
Mhm. Thank you.
You're welcome.
To reinforce Natasha's point, I was talking with Constant Contact about getting started. And they said, let me show you what a template would look like. And all they did was they put my logo on it. But right below the logo at the header, it said schedule a consultation. Now, I missed. I was thrilled by what they did because they're thinking like Natasha, which was the call to action was before my story. So even before they read whatever my message was, it had the call to action there. So I think there's people like Natasha that know these. I refer to it as annoying. They know the trick. They know the tricks to, and they know this in their sleep.
The tricks
It's the stuff that we don't know.
Right. And you want more than one call to action. You need more than one. The other thing is, real quick, be careful with putting up too much graphics and not enough words, because the Google bots and the email server providers, they don't like that. So if you put a bunch of emails, a bunch of videos, a bunch of links in one email, they're going to say, we're not delivering this. It's too spammy. So you want to make sure that you put a healthy balance. Content, Google bots drive to content. If I can get content, they can say, okay, this is relevant. This is this is that, right? Also making sure that if your CRM tool that you use, if it has a spam checker, make sure that feature is activated and you're using it, because it checks it from the point of subject line all the way through to close. And if you have a high, rate, every tool has a different way in which they gauge it. But if you have spam checker, use it, because that's going to help to increase your deliverability, ability to open and things. But be careful you don't send an email that has a bunch of links in it, a bunch of hyperlinks, a bunch of images, a bunch of videos, and you have like one call to action. It's not going to get delivered or follow through. But multiple call to actions are important, not just one. You need to have at least minimum of 3 in an email, like different ways at the very beginning. Because say, real quick example, how you can cut me off if I'm going over, right? But say, for example, you get an email that goes out and I saw your email 3 or 4 times, because how many touch points do we need outside of an emergency? Nowadays, 7 to 10. So I done got your 6th email. And what happened is on email 5, I really wanted to follow through, but I got sidetracked. So your 6th email came, it's like, oh, finally, there it is. I was looking for that, but I couldn't find it. Do I really need to go through the whole email to get to where I want to be? No. So having a call to action at the top in the very beginning, some people might think, well, that's crazy. I got to deliver the information first. No, put the call to action at the top, give me some information, then put the call to action in the middle, give me a little bit more information, put another call to action, and make sure you tell people how to connect with you socially. Everybody wants to connect socially. Pick your preferred platform and connect there. Hope that helps.
It does, and no reason to cut you off. Anthony, before we go, I haven't seen anything in the chat what you're doing. Can you come up with a goal for yourself?
Yeah, I think the goal is going to be that we need to find a new way where we're reaching a lot of these particular decision makers who are the clients that we want to reach. That's one of the things that's actually a meeting I had earlier today. So the goal I have is, okay, how do we get an email campaign in place where we're hopefully going to be able to get those email addresses and target those particular decision makers? And I'm hoping that's something that can happen in the next weeks.
Okay. Well, you're gonna need landing pages, Anthony. You're gonna need landing pages and public forms to get that done, but okay. Whatever tool you're using, get your landing pages and public forms. That'll draw the unknown in.
Yeah.
All right, so 7-Eleven seemed like a lucky number for you. All right, well, we're about out of time. Natasha, this was great.
Thank you. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Right, I think everybody got to come up with their own personal thing and then be able to take it to see what a consultant like Natasha can add to what's going on. And then just to wrap up, one more shot at the memes. Jared's always got a sense of humor. Just a heads up while you're laughing at Jared's work. We'll be doing another workshop like this for accountability, talking about LinkedIn. We'll be doing that in 2 weeks. And then Uli's guest, Alicia, will be here to talk about infrastructure and process improvement as a way to be more effective with your business development. So with that, kind of wrap up.
I've been sitting on that meme for a while. Couldn't find a place for it.
Nice meme.
All right, guys. Again, if you need any of the notes that Natasha had, we did record this. Lee will help us get it posted in the next day or so. And thank you all for keeping all of us accountable to each other. So make it a great week, guys.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
everybody.
Thank you.
See ya.